Hey everyone, Erin here, and I'm here today with my top books of 2015. I did end up reading 50 books in 2015, so that was pretty good. That was my goal for the year, so I did reach it, so I'm pretty proud of that. I wish I would have been able to exceed my goal, but that just didn't happen, unfortunately. You kind of just run out of time, and the end of the year kind of creeps up on you. I read a bunch of fantastic books this year. This was kind of a year of reading series, finishing series, starting series. I don't really know. I just read so many series this year. I really did not read many standalones. I think I really only read 4 or 5, which is quite sad. But yes, I didn't really pick a top 10 favorite books. I just kind of picked all the books that I really enjoyed and that were definitely my top books that I read this last year. I don't say much about the plot or synopsis of these books as I hold them up, just because a lot of them are very well known and you probably already know about them, or I have talked about them in my wrap-ups, so there's no really reason to reiterate myself all that much. I'm going to flash through them quite fast and just show you the books that I really enjoyed this past year. A definite favorite book that I read in the year 2015 was a part of our series, and that was Dead Scared, Like This Forever, and A Dark and Twisted Tide, all by Sharon Bolton. I read all 3 of these this last year. I read the first book, Now You See Me, probably over a year and a half ago, close to 2 years ago, and I finally picked up the rest of the series this past year, and I absolutely loved it. I talk about it all the time. I rave about it. This is my absolute favorite series. Dead Scared is the second one, which is probably my favorite book in the series. Third book in the series is Like This Forever, and the fourth book is A Dark and Twisted Tide. These are the only 4 books currently out in the series. I'm not sure when the 5th book is going to come out. There's no title, no release date, nothing, no talk about it, so I'm quite sad, so it could be quite a while. But if you have not picked up the series, honestly, pick it up, and it will probably be one of your favorites of 2016 because it's just so fantastic. This top book that I read in 2015 was Salt and Stone by Victoria Scott, which is the second book in the Fire and Flood series by Victoria Scott. I read Fire and Flood a year ago, whatever, in 2014, and I absolutely loved it. And then I read Salt and Stone, obviously, last year, and I absolutely loved it also. It's definitely also one that is on the top of my top books of 2015. I just adore the series. I don't know why. It's kind of cliche. It has a lot of the same plot as a lot of other YA dystopians like Hunger Games and Battle Royale and all of that, but I just loved it so much, and if you have not read this series yet, I really highly recommend it. It's just a fun, fantastic read. There is supposed to be a 3rd book in the series, but again, there is nothing set in stone right now. The author hasn't written it yet. I don't even think the book's been picked up by a publisher yet, so I'm not sure if it's ever going to come out. I really hope it will so that I can get a conclusion to this series. Next top books I read this last year, there's actually 4 of them. It's not a series. I guess they're standalones, so I guess I did read more than 4 standalones, but I kind of consider them all in a group because it's all by the same author. But those are Confess, Maybe Someday, November 9, and Ugly Love, all by Colleen Hoover. I just absolutely ripped through her books this past year. The other book that's not listed here that I read of hers is Hopeless, which I read about 2 years ago, and I didn't pick up any other books by her for like a whole year after that, and then this past year, I just picked them all up, and I absolutely love them all. They're just fast, easy, quick, fun reads. My favorite out of this bunch was probably Ugly Love. This one was just totally fun, and I mean, yeah, it was just a lot of fun. I also really enjoyed November 9. This was probably my second favorite that I read this past year of her. To Confess and Maybe Someday are pretty much tied for my 3rd favorites I read. Confess probably would have been one of my favorites, but I had a really big problem with the ending of the book and kind of how the conflict was resolved, and I just really didn't enjoy it, and I didn't really like the lesson it kind of taught. We could talk about that if you're interested some other time. Yes, I did really enjoy all 4 of these, and I really highly recommend them, and they were just fantastic reads. Next 3 books I have are part of the Lunar Chronicle series, and that's Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. I read all 3 of these this past year, and I really enjoyed them. They were just fantastic. Another series that I highly recommend, and It was concluded very well. I really loved Winter, and I thought the whole series was brought together really well. Yeah, it was just a really awesome series. I haven't heard about this series, and I don't really know where you've been, but it's quite a popular series, and it really deserves that popularity because it was pretty awesome. Next book I have is, again, also part of a series, and that was Undivided by Neil Shusterman. This is the fourth and final book in the Unwind dystology, and this is one of my all-time favorite series. I just loved this series. It's really, really good. It just has a really unique concept and a really real concept. Like, for a dystopian world, like, this is really something that you could think of happening. Like, it kind of already is in a way, maybe not to this extreme, but yeah, it was just fantastic. I absolutely loved how this series ended and concluded, and I was just really, really satisfied with it. What I have is a standalone, finally, and that is The Night Film by Marissa Pessel, and I absolutely love this one. This one was a really, really fun mystery, thriller, horror kind of book. Just a really unique mystery thriller. It used like websites and newspaper articles and stuff like that within the book, so it really kind of made you feel like you were in it and you were trying to solve the mystery along with the author. It was just really, really awesome. Unique storyline and plot, and it just really felt real. Like, the author and the characters and whatever else, murder that had happened, and there was really a real event that was happening. It was just really, really awesome. So if you've not picked this one up yet, it's definitely, definitely worth the read. I have are also in a series, and that is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I actually read Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight in 2015. Technically, I finished Terrifier in 2016. I picked it up like a couple days before the end of December and finished it a couple days into January, so I'm still throwing it in here because I started it in 2015, alright? But yes, this is an absolutely fantastic series. I just fell in love with this series. I jumped on the bandwagon quite late for this series, but I'm so happy that I finally picked it up, and definitely one of my favorite fantasy series ever, and I'm really excited to continue the series and see where it goes. I was really mad with the way that Crown of Midnight ended. Many reasons of why I was upset with how it Terrifier off a couple months, just because I wasn't quite ready to get over what had happened in Crown of Midnight, but I definitely got over it, and I'm okay with it now, and I'm actually very happy with where the series is going now. But yes, this is an awesome series, and definitely one of my favorite series that I read this last year. The last book on my top books of 2015 was Red Queen by Victoria Avard. This one was another one I jumped on the bandwagon quite late for. I wasn't really sure how I was going to like it, but I really enjoyed it. It was definitely another fun read, and a quite unique fantasy dystopian kind of plot. But I'm very excited, and I really enjoyed this series. And the final book on my top books of 2015 is Library of Souls by Ransom Briggs. I had a hard time getting into the second book in the series, Hollow City. I don't know, it just took me a long time to read. This one I absolutely flew by, and I loved it, and I loved the way the series ended. And I am so excited for the movie that's coming out next year, and really it's just a fantastic concluding book. Got it picked up, and I was able to find my love again for this series, and I just overall really enjoyed this book. Excited for 2016 and all the books that I plan on reading this next year. My goal this coming year is to read 55 books, which is just a little bit of a step up from my last year. I just want to set myself up for success instead of failure, so I think 55 is a pretty good number. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.